Using the James et al. 2020 dataset, we want to answer the research question: to what extent do participants differ in their awareness of inflectional and derivational morphology? In this instance, we'll say that we'll measure this type of morphology using analogy tasks. And so we identify that our variables of interest are MA_IA and MA_DA. The same group of children completed both tasks, and so we need to run a paired samples t-test to determine if there are differences between the two types of morphological awareness. We use a paired samples test because it's one group of children who completed the same two tasks. In Jamovi, you will find paired samples t-tests under Analyses, t-tests, paired samples t-test. You need to select the two variables that you want to pair up on the right. So we will go with MAIA_ and MA_DA. The assumption of the paired samples t-test is that the difference between these scores are normally distributed, saying the score for inflectional minus the score for derivational. You can check these assumptions by using the Shapiro-Wilk statistic or the QQ plot. The statistic shows us that the difference between scores is not normally distributed, and this is confirmed by the QQ plot. At this point in time, or rather before you get to this stage, one should ask themselves whether these variables can be compared. And actually, if we return to the data notebook, we will see that these two activities have different maximum scores. So in fact, we cannot compare these two variables using a paired samples t-test. We first have to make sure that they're comparable. To do this, we can convert them to percentages, which I've already done, and will include a link for those who'd like to do it themselves. So let's start again and use the percent for the inflectional and the derivational task. If we now look at our Shapiro-Wilk statistic and our QQ plot, we see that the difference between the inflectional task and the derivational task are normally distributed. So we can continue with our students' paired sample t-test. Again, we want our mean difference and effect size and the confidence interval, the descriptives which we'll report in the text, and a nice descriptives plot just to visualize what the test is saying. Our research question is asking whether inflectional and derivational morphology differ and do not say in which direction. So we will leave our hypothesis as two-tailed. Let's look at the output. Our results show us that there is a significant difference in the scores between the inflectional and derivational tasks, with p being less than 0.001. Our mean difference is 11.4%, which means children on average scored 11.4% more in the inflectional task than the derivational task. If we look at our 95 confidence interval, we can see that this ranges from 9.98 to 12.8. If we look at the effect size or Cohen's d, we can see that it's large, which means this is probably a meaningful effect, that children do much better on inflectional and derivational morphological awareness tasks. And it's also important to remember that the benchmarks for Cohen's d should not be blindly followed and should be interpreted within your discipline, but you can consult Navarro and Foxcroft with some rough guidelines in general about how to interpret Cohen's d.